Hi, I'm John McMahon.
And I'm Lou Lewis. Might be an idea if you haven't listened to and looked at the video for the introduction, which will context what we're doing here. But I'm going to ask John to address some kind of the burning questions if you live with a problem drinker that you might want to ask if you could have a conversation with them without them going all defensive. And the first maybe is the most burning question. I'm sorry to put you on the spot, but this is to a problem drinker: if you say you love me, why do you continue to do behaviours that you know I find really, really difficult?
Wow. Yes, I mean, I'm sure that's one of the most burning issues that you have. You know, how can this man who says he loves me, or woman who says she loves me, behave in this way? And you know, and it is a difficult one, and I think it's very difficult to understand if you're not actually got an alcohol problem or an addiction problem of some description. But to ask the question in that way, I think, is not a way that the drinker would actually understand. For me, I would have said, yes, hand in heart, yes, I do love my wife. And in the next breath, I would maybe pick up a drink and, you know, and it does seem irreconcilable, you know, just a real contradiction. To the drinker, it's not really, because it's not a choice between the partner and the drink.
So you're saying it's not an either-or situation? It's
not an either-or situation, and that's the real difficulty. That's maybe where, you know, we're looking at the mountain from two different angles altogether. I think it is a piece of supreme irony that in that moment, the drinker is actually living in the moment. You know, AA try to teach us to live a day at a time, live in the moment, you know, and the yesterday's history, tomorrow's a mystery, today is all we've got. And in that moment of drinking is when the drinker really understands that particular, what that actually means.
So just can you just explain this a little bit then? So what you're saying, that nothing else exists at that moment than the need to find a bottle and start drinking? It's
the relationship with the drink. You know, when I drank, I got, it changed the way I felt about me.
We're going to be talking about this.
Yeah, we're going to be talking about it much more. So that was what the choice was, to, you know, to not feel good or to feel good. It wasn't, you know, to piss my wife off or not piss my wife off. It wasn't. That wasn't the decision I was making.
Because it feels very personal and very hurtful.
Of course it feels very personal, because my behaviour hurt my wife, and therefore she felt that I was, you know, I was being personal, but it wasn't. She was not, I hate to say this, but she wasn't actually part of that equation. The equation was whether I should or shouldn't, whether I would feel good or whether I wouldn't feel good. And it was all about that moment. It wasn't about, oh, what will happen tomorrow or what will happen the next day. If I actually thought about that, I would probably not have drunk. And I think that's what we have to say, is if I thought about all the consequences of it, then I wouldn't drink. And it wasn't till I actually started to understand the consequences that I stopped drinking.
And so, really, I suppose that's where the word compulsion comes from. At that moment, there is a compulsion that rises up above all else. I know you use a phrase, and I think in Bottled Up, which I think is very telling, that you say it wasn't that I want to hurt you, I just didn't want to hurt. And that's really what it was about. It wasn't about anybody else. It was about me, where I am at that moment in time. You know, and what I saw was that I had pain. That was a way of relieving the pain, therefore I could do it. And even if I wasn't actually in pain, it was, you know, I felt okay, but that will make me feel better. And that was the, you know, that's really what it was about. Yeah, and I think we'll finish it there, because the next question is, what does this drink give you? What's going on for you that this compulsion is so powerful? So we're kind of going to discuss the payoff in the next video. So do join us. We'd love you to come and join us again. Goodbye.
Goodbye.